the Bible, God never does anything by accident. Every command, every instruction, every blueprint he gives is filled with layers of meaning. And when he gives construction instructions, they aren't just architectural, they're spiritual revelations. From the meticulous measurements of Noah's Ark to the elaborate design of the Tabernacle, God's blueprints were designed not only to build something physical but to communicate something eternal. These divine constructions were sermons in wood, gold, linen, and stone. They weren't just shelters, they were sacred stages on which heaven met earth. And by exploring them, we begin to see the astonishing intentionality of a God who doesn't waste a single cubit. But before we continue, I will leave below a link to one of our ebooks to improve your relationship with God and help you begin to understand the reason for certain things and trust Him more. Let's begin with Noah's Ark. In Genesis 6 verses 14 to 16, God gives Noah detailed instructions. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood, make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and out with pitch. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, its breadth 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. That's not just a massive ship, it's a symbol of salvation. The pitch used to seal the ark inside and out. The Hebrew word is kafir, the same root used for atonement. The ark, sealed with atonement, became the vessel through which Noah's family was saved. That wasn't coincidence, it was divine foreshadowing of Christ, the vessel of our salvation. And the door? There was only one, just like Jesus said in John 10 verse 9, I am the door, if anyone enters through me he will be saved. Every piece of wood, every inch of space was preaching redemption. Now turn the pages forward to Exodus, where God gives Moses the blueprint for the tabernacle. It starts in Exodus 25 verses 8 to 9. Let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. According to all that I show you, just so you shall make it. The tabernacle wasn't a random tent, it was a divine dwelling place designed to reflect heavenly realities. Hebrews 8 verse 5 tells us that the earthly tabernacle was a copy and shadow of what is in heaven. Think about that. Every curtain, every piece of furniture, every layer of material was intentionally crafted to mirror God's eternal dwelling. The bronze altar at the entrance represented judgment, while the golden Ark of the Covenant in the Holy of Holies represented God's presence and mercy. To go from one to the other was to journey from sin to grace, a path made possible through the blood of sacrifice. Inside the tabernacle, the menorah stood tall, a 7-branched lampstand of pure gold. It wasn't just beautiful, it was symbolic. The light it gave represented God's presence illuminating the way. Psalm 119 verse 105 says, Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. And Revelation 1 verse 20 tells us the 7 lamps represent the 7 churches. God was embedding messages in metal. The table of showbread stood nearby, always carrying 12 loaves of bread representing the 12 tribes. But more than that, it pointed to Jesus, the bread of life, John 6 verse 35, who feeds and sustains his people. In that sacred space, every object was a pointer to Christ, centuries before his birth. The Ark of the Covenant, housed in the Holy of Holies, was the most sacred object of all. Inside were the 10 Commandments, a jar of manna, and Aaron's rod that budded. These weren't just relics, they told a story. The law of God, the provision of God, and the miraculous authority of God all rested inside a chest covered by the mercy seat, where the high priest would sprinkle blood once a year. Leviticus 16 verse 14 says, He shall take some of the blood of the bull and sprinkle it with his finger on the mercy seat. That blood symbolized the price of sin, and it pointed forward to Jesus, our great high priest, who offered his own blood to open a way into God's presence once and for all. Hebrews 9 verse 12. Have you already clicked on the like button and subscribed to the channel? This helps us understand that you are enjoying our videos and YouTube is sending you more. We count on your help. Let's go back to the video. Move forward to Solomon's temple. This wasn't just an upgrade in size and glory, it was a fulfillment of a divine promise. In 1 Kings 6, God gives Solomon detailed plans. Cedar walls overlaid with gold, carvings of palm trees and cherubim, massive bronze pillars named Jachin and Boaz. Everything meant something. The palm trees spoke of paradise restored. The gold reminded the people of God's majesty. And the pillars? Their names mean He will establish, and in Him is strength. Every time a priest walked between them, it was a reminder that strength and stability come from the Lord alone. 2 Chronicles 5 verses 13 to 14 says that when the temple was completed and the people praised God, the glory of the Lord filled the temple. It wasn't about the building, it was about the presence. And still, God had more in mind. Even these stunning structures weren't the final destination. In the New Testament, the temple shifts again, not into stone but into skin. 1 Corinthians 3 verse 16 declares, "Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you?" The construction wasn't ending, it was becoming more intimate. We are now the dwelling place of the Most High. God no longer rests in a tabernacle behind a veil. Because of Jesus, He rests in us. Ephesians 2 verse 22 says, "In Him you also are being built together into a dwelling place for God by the Spirit." The divine architecture continues, but this time the material is your heart. So why does all this matter? Because many walk through life unaware that every piece of their spiritual journey is part of a greater design. Just as God gave Noah, Moses, and Solomon precise instructions, He has a purpose and a blueprint for your life too. Jeremiah 29 verse 11 reminds us, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." The same God who measured the ark, who carved out dimensions of the tabernacle, who filled the temple with His glory, He's the architect of your life story. And He doesn't build anything without purpose. Understanding God's construction plans in the Bible helps us understand His heart. He is not random. He is not chaotic. He is a master builder who lays every foundation with eternal significance. Isaiah 28 verse 16 says, "Behold, I lay in Zion a stone, a tested stone, a precious cornerstone of a sure foundation." That cornerstone is Jesus. Everything points back to Him. He is the door of the ark, the bread on the table, the blood on the mercy seat, the glory in the temple, the Spirit in the believer. This isn't just about history. This is about destiny. You're not a coincidence, you're a construction in progress. And if God put such intentionality in wood and gold, imagine how intentional He is with your soul. So take a moment and ask yourself, am I living in the awareness of God's design? Am I aligning my life with His blueprint? Because when you do, you'll stop drifting and start building. And you'll realize that even your pain, your questions, your waiting, are part of something God is carefully constructing for His glory. If this message stirred something inside you and you want to go deeper into how God builds, guides, and lives through His people, I invite you to get your copy of the ebook, Rich Life with God. It's filled with biblical insights that will help you align with heaven's architecture and walk in divine purpose every single day. You're not just living, you're being built. Let God finish what He started.